Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Slant 3D podcast, the show about 3D printing and our place inside the industry. Today we got the normal news that's coming up, and actually a decent amount of good news, and then going through the profits over thousands of 3D printed parts. We'll be sharing a little bit of data about teleport and portals there from sellers on there. And then, of course, finishing up with a new thing, one of our first interviews. So we have an interview series going on here for the next few weeks, and this is one of the first ones going out with Justin Mitchell, and I'll give you the intro a little bit later on that. But let's go ahead and get right into the news. First piece of news. Automotive supplier Engstrom Group acquires Mantle. Engstrom Group, a leading full-service supplier to automotive and industrial OEMs, has acquired metal additive manufacturing firm Mantle. With a hybrid technology that combines metal 3D printing and CNC machining, Mantle has established itself as a leading provider of stuff. So, with Mantle now part of the Engstrom family, our goal is clear: to industrialize the breakthrough metal additive manufacturing and make it broadly accessible, said the founder and CEO of Engstrom Group. Okay. So the reason this news is interesting, we do not know an acquisition price on this, but Mantle is probably one of the largest kind of 3D printing success stories that I'm aware of. I'm going to bet that they were in the range of like $100 million or so there. Mantle made a process that would print a layer and then go around it with a CNC mill, so you could build really precise but kind of impossible geometries because you're building it additively but finishing it with CNC. And they effectively had made a CNC machine that would print first and then clean it up. So it's a really good piece of tech and was used really heavily for creating tooling, for molds and that kind of stuff. So Mantle had a huge amount of value there. For this automotive supplier, being able to create molds very efficiently is a really useful thing. And is a great value to Mantle. So that is a fantastic success story, quite frankly. Hopefully one of these days we will get a valuation of Mantle. Let's find out what it is. Let's just go ahead and find this right up right now. Hold on. 3D printing. There we are. Once we get it out there. Mantle's valuation is estimated to be between 80 and 120 million based on a Series C funding round of 20 million in July 2024 that raised the company's total funding to over 61.5 million. The valuation is supported by a specific focus on the 45 billion precision tooling market. Yep. So that is where Mantle is sitting. Okay. So next piece of news. Womp launches AI platform for accessible 3D model creation and printing. Yes, Womp has, if nobody knows Womp, I recommend looking it up, quite frankly. They are a online CAD tool, design tool, kind of Blender style of tool. It's a very organic sculpting sort of a tool. Move, push, pull. It's very cozy. Like, it's very nice. I really like the liquid kind of control software that they have there. But they have created an AI edition to where you can prompt it and it will create some baseline models that you can then morph and move. So it's effectively like parametric modeling, but you also have sculpting inside of it, which is a really good addition. Womp has an internal print service for transparent resin prints because a lot of their stuff are like jewelry and shoe models and prototypes. A lot of industrial designers mess around with Womp. Womp technologically is kind of a really interesting tool because it is CAD, but the CAD doesn't run in your browser or on your desktop locally or any sort of fashions there. It does not run on your machine or any of your compute. It is entirely server-based, so they have their own GPUs and whatever else they have maintaining and operating it, and then they just project the view of it, as compared to like Fusion, which is really relying on your computer's capabilities to keep it alive. So Womp's actually very efficient and very smooth, and they do live rendering of stuff, so you have these transparent and translucent parts that have light shining through them. So it's really, I'd recommend it. Go try it out. It's kind of cool. You can build some nifty things over there. The fact that they're including printing on it all, that's great, fantastic. What we have found is that for CAD companies, the CAD is generally a lot more valuable than the actual prints themselves. So people add it in as a service, but it's not that profitable for the companies. So very often the companies just don't deal with it for very long because they realize, well, we can charge $100 a month for the software, or we can get $5 of manufacturing margin out of the prototypes. So they generally tend to outsource that, and that's where we come in. So we just slowly go broke while everybody else is doing their thing. Next piece of news. Castor ceases operations. Founder confirms. This is per 3D TCT, sorry. Manufacturing application identification software provider Castor has ceased operations. The company's founder has confirmed. Castor served as proof that even with a great idea, a dedicated team, and a lovable product and a large number of paying customers, navigating the unstable environment we live in requires more than that. Despite the outcome, I look forward to the immense pride of how we conducted ourselves. We maintained a constant race for improvement, an obsession with customer satisfaction, and a fully transparent and professional decision-making process. That was from the founder of Castor, Omir Blair, yeah. Sorry about that. Okay. Castor used software to run through a company's inventory to define what could be made with 3D printing and with what process it should be made, which should be a really good application. The problem is that right now, printing, like the part could be made with printing, but those people then are like, okay, who's going to go print it? You never know, and you don't know what like the cost per part is. You just know that it can be made with printing. So there's a value prop incompleteness there to where, yeah, it could be made with printing, but nobody's actually going to make it at 2 cents a part the way molding goes. This transfer of established companies over to using 3D printing is a really big challenge, and one that we've fought with for years and years too. Established companies have an established workflow, but more than that, they have an established bureaucracy. And this is very important because a company will have one department that buys the mold, one department that buys the parts, and each one of those have 2 separate budgets. So 3D printing, we do, that 100,000 parts, below 100,000 parts, it is cheaper than molding because you do not have the mold. Customers see the per part cost being higher, and they assume that it's more expensive than the molds. But the reason for that is one department bought the mold, which was their budget, and another department bought the parts. So the department buying the parts just sees more expensive part, cheaper part, but they don't recognize that there was no mold because that other department saved cost there. So it's really tough for corporate bureaucracies to wrap their head around that doing this and having slightly more cost saves a ton of cost back up here. So this is the challenge with this, and why Castor is useful, because it at least identifies the parts. It solves the engineering problem. But that corporate money management problem and communicating it is just a slog of a sales process, because you now have multiple stakeholders and all kinds of other issues. This is why like Slant 3D has effectively kind of moved away from a lot of the production stuff. We used to push on it really hard, but now we don't push on it as hard because effectively consumer tools like teleport and portals are just more useful. And okay, moving on to next piece of news here. No more news. Actually, that is all the news. But speaking of teleport and portals, let's go ahead and go into it. We have very interesting information. So we pulled down all the stats from teleport and portals here the last couple of days. We've been doing some analysis on our marketing and our users and everything else, so just looking at cool things. So we pulled down bulk data from everybody, totally anonymized. We're not going to share anybody's portal information here, of course. But we know how much people sell stuff for. And we also know what their profit margin is because they pay us to manufacture it, and then we know what they sell it for on portals and teleport there. So we pulled down this info just so that it is a good point of reference for everybody. Because if you start selling on teleport or portals, you have some idea of where you sit in the pack and kind of how you're performing, because this is always the challenge with business. You don't know how you're doing kind of relative to everybody else when you're working alone. So now we get to crowdsource all this information for you. So the top 10% of sellers on portals and teleport. The average margin for the top 10% was 74.8%. 74.8%. That's really good. And we're doing the work for them. We are printing, packing, and shipping it for it. The average profit was $14.10. So they're paying us like $5 and selling it for like 20. The average sale price is $18.80. Like I say, about 20 bucks. So, the niches that seem to be working really well, gaming accessories, collectibles, and some modular kind of components around desk organizers and that kind of stuff, that realm of home goods. The bottom 10% of sellers, their margins are 11.3%, which is, by the way, not bad, given that it's still a passive income. You're not having to pack and ship anything. But it's tough if you're trying to run marketing. The average profit for the bottom 10% is $1.82 USD, and the average sale price there is $15.90. So this is, summing this up, the top sellers are selling something small for really high price, and the bottom sellers are selling something pretty big for fairly low price. People often ask us why we pick the size of machines that we do, and we don't recommend batching and all these other things. This is why. If you have a large part, which is often a batch or just a big old brick, you're not very efficient. So you're not creating a lot of value for the amount of effort going into it and the amount of shipping cost. Whereas if you just create a nice small fist-sized item, you have higher margins, higher profitability, and faster turnaround. So the data, like, people always ask, like, why do we make the decisions that we do on teleport and portals? And the reason is the decisions are not arbitrary. We look at who is being successful, and we build our products around people who are being successful. I shared some data earlier also. Printify shared a series of pieces of data about people on their platform. And they found that the majority of sales were going to items with one single variation, one single color, a red t-shirt, a green bag, whatever it happens to be. Sales are predominantly biased towards items with single SKUs. Now, on Reddit, somebody brought up a good point about this. Well, let me get back to that. But that data is the type of data that we use to inform, like, portals. Portals is optimized and laid out for maximum conversion. And our entire factory, over the last 6 years of us building it, has been designed around the best performing users and sellers and the best products. So all of it has been built to where if you're working inside of it, you have an increased rate of success because you're riding on the shoulders of everybody else who has come before you. So this is a tremendous advantage of being in teleport and portals. All of the constraints inside of them are meant to put you in a position of highest success. Now, we will always experiment with other variations to make sure that we're not sitting on that and being like, oh, everybody's successful on this because this is all we offer. That's not what it is. We have all this past data, and we keep on running new tests to see if the world has changed. But that's where we designed it all to help maximally improve you. Because if you're successful, we're successful. Okay. On Reddit, in the discussion of the Printify graph, there was sales of single SKU items here, 2 items, 3 items, 5 items was a little bit higher, and then right here. Folks brought up a good point that we did not have the units of SKUs, the number of units that had single here. Because if you have 100 items and 70 of them are single SKU, of course it would have more sales. My response to that is correct. We do not know that. But from my experience, anecdotally, and from the data within like teleport users who do have SKUs, most people bias towards having a lot of options. So I highly doubt that there was a bias of people towards single SKU items, single color items, and then they got more sales. I think most people grab more colors. So we don't know, but I'm going to bet that there was not a big bias in the data for that. Okay, let's see here. So yeah, final insights from the data we pulled from Teleport. 40 to 60% margin on prices of between $12 to $25. Seems to be what everybody's operating, and is a good background for you. You can absolutely build a business on the other ends of those spectrums. You can have low margin, high volume. You can have high margin, low volume, all those things. But the sweet spot is a 40 to 60% margin, which leaves you room to market and still have a 25 to 40% profit, and a price of $12 to $25, which coincidentally is about the price of an impulse purchase online. $25, $29 is generally the impulse buy max price that you can set, and people will buy it. So it's great to see that Portals and Teleport are aligning with all other e-commerce. So take that, use it to help with pricing and setting up your own products and items. Okay, with that now, moving into the next section. Normally we do discussion topic. We're not going to be doing that a lot of this season because I don't have time. I got to go get back to work on Christmas. But we are doing interviews. And I recently had an interview. We filmed a number of these several weeks ago. But Justin Mitchell is an engineer at Yamaha who I met online on LinkedIn. He was making some posts about design and 3D printing, so I reached out to him. And I was like, hey, dude, you seem to have some interesting thoughts about stuff. Do you want to come on to the podcast? So I brought him on, and we had this really great conversation spanning everything from electric motorbikes to the way he went around prototyping for the product that he worked on there at Yamaha. He's working on the Wave Runner product line, which is not a jet ski. It is the Wave Runner. And he got to work on several aspects of that, both in R&D and testing. And the discussion was a lot of fun. We got to run through how they tested these Wave Runners. And it was just a really good conversation. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys will come back because there will be more coming down in the future. We've got everybody from Shop Nation to some 3D printing reporters to folks like Justin here, who is not a 3D printing core person. He's just an engineer who's a lot of fun to talk to. So enjoy this conversation.
So I really like the space that like LinkedIn is in right now. 2 years ago, like it felt like you would go on there and like nothing was really relevant to you. Yeah. At the end of the day, it was kind of, people searching for jobs or whatever. But now, you can hop on there and it's like, or at least my algorithm has gotten tuned to the point where, it's feeding me like exactly what I want to see, like product development related stuff, be it like additive or CNC or prototyping, sketching, CAD, it's just giving me all of that. And I'm like, I can't go on any social media platform and get just that. Like I'm going to get all the other brain rot crap too.
That's fair. They keep on trying to see something
like
else.
A lot of the like young professionals that I work with, it might even be like a new trend of people being like, I'm deleting everything except for LinkedIn because when I go on there, I'm like entertained enough that I feel productive scrolling for like 20 minutes and then I'm bored after 20 minutes and I leave. Whereas, at Instagram or a TikTok, it's like too entertaining and also feels very like you feel guilty after wasting 30 minutes on there.
Yes. It's almost always regret when you're leaving one of those apps. Though at the same time, I can't say I'm deeply fulfilled by coming off of LinkedIn and being like, yeah, that was time well spent.
Right, yeah.
That's very rarely the case over there too.
I definitely feel the best like after like having conversations with people that I wouldn't normally talk to or learning something new. So it can be good.
Yeah.
It's probably the best one going right now.
For like interaction and chatting with people, LinkedIn is actually really good. Because, you're right. It just feels a little bit better structured in some sort of a way, which is weird because, yes, LinkedIn goes off the rails every other month or something like that and how they're doing it. And yet at the same time, they're really, something sticks once in a while where you're just like,
and it's still like over here oddly buggy, which, I mean, are we surprised for a Microsoft product,
It wasn't always a Microsoft product.
There's still times it's like I'll like something and like the like just won't be there. And I'm like, did I like it, or is like my internet connection bugging right now? It's like basic stuff you would think they'd have figured out at this point.
Do you use LinkedIn on desktop or on phone?
I'd say like 50-50. It's better on desktop for sure. But
yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. Because you're effectively Gen Z, or are you still in the millennial
I am technically Gen Z because I was born in '98.
Oh, okay, fair enough then. So yeah, you're right there on the edge of it all.
I'm on the edge to where I can make fun of Gen Z and people assume I'm not Gen Z, and then I can have to do the Gen Z things to to rage bait people.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's hilarious. That LinkedIn seemed like the default social media app to use. But it does make sense for like what you were going to because you're right. Yeah. For like product design and kind of professional portfolio building and interaction, it is still really good for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like there's also people I talk to on LinkedIn, like you probably, that I would like never talk to otherwise, and for some reason like they're only accessible through LinkedIn.
That's fair. Like I am active. I have to be active on all the other I think the reason I'm so like directly active on LinkedIn is because it's like the only personal profile that I sort of interact with. I don't use like personal Instagram or TikTok or anything like that because that seems weird from my position. And I always go through like the Slant 3D profiles. So it's always ambiguous. Is it me or is it somebody else on the team?
Right.
LinkedIn's where it's like, oh, it's legitimately for me.
So yeah, and it probably makes more sense too for you to be active on like LinkedIn versus Instagram because of like, as a percentage of all the people that DM you on LinkedIn, there's probably a much higher percentage of ones that could be like potential Slant 3D clients.
Surprisingly, no. We get almost no clients from LinkedIn. There was an era in the company back when we did like mass production work exclusively.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Oh yeah, when the
I didn't realize like so teleport's your main thing now.
Yeah, pretty much. That's where we
put I didn't realize that. So that does make more sense then.
Yes. Anymore, we're working really hard on TikTok because it's effectively a drop shipping app. So like guys in college who have spare time and that kind of stuff is like the demographic that ends up using that most of the time.
Interesting.
But yeah, when we were focusing exclusively on mass production, which has kind of been deprecated since, I would be on LinkedIn all the time with people. But it was, even back then, we never like did content exclusively for LinkedIn. It was an outreach, email, messaging kind of a thing because like it was better than email in a bunch of ways. But anymore, I don't know what I use LinkedIn for anymore. It's mainly this kind of stuff, just reaching out to people and saying like, "What's up, dude?" Because it's on desktop because I can't freaking interact with any of the other platforms on desktop at all. So while I'm checking emails, I might go check LinkedIn and messages or shoot somebody over a message. So that's why it is. Yes, it's just good for the office to look like you're still being busy.
I have noticed people in the office like using LinkedIn because it's like,
it's not TikTok. It's okay.
Like that's kind of work.
Yeah, it's business related.
Yeah.
Well, go back further. Like, how did you end up like becoming an engineer and that kind of stuff?
I guess. So, like, if I look back really far when I was young, like, I wanted to be, like, an inventor, I think. Of, like, I just wanted to invent things. But I don't really know how I think, like, in high school, I was very good at, like, math and physics. Like, I would do, like, physics competitions. And the head of, like, the physics department at my high school was like, you should do engineering because engineering is, like, the practical version of physics.
You had a physics department at your high school?
Yeah, so I went to a boarding school in Virginia actually.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's called Woodbury Forest, and it was probably the smartest thing my parents like ever did for me in terms of education because they had a physics department. We had 3D printers in 2014, which is saying something.
Is it? I guess that's sort of a flex, but MakerBots had been around for a while. They certainly weren't as prevalent as they are right now, and like in every public school.
That's true. Kind of they weren't MakerBots though, actually.
What did you have?
They were kit 3D printers or open source or something, and like the head of the math department was super into it.
Oh, really?
And he was like, building them or whatnot, and oddly, like, people were interested as to, like, the parts that came off of them, but they weren't really interested in learning how to use it, and that was when I learned, like, CAD and stuff, because I was like, I gotta figure out how to use this thing. And back then, it was very much so, like, cross your fingers and hope the part comes out, and it was, like, 50-50, like, you'd do the exact same print twice, and it'd work once and not the other time.
Yep. Oh yes.
Which is not the space we're in anymore.
The good times. No, not at all anymore. It's fascinating how much literally in the last 2 years it's changed. And from yes, user interaction of it all and that kind of stuff. At production it's like almost changed and not at all because we were already like in a weird space. But yes, the consumer side of it, they pushed it further than I expected that quickly. And still at the same time we're still so far away from like the idea of a printer in every home. That idea is basically gone, but the perfection of the tool seems to have kind of hit now. Of like, okay,
the eras I kind of remember were like that 2014 era when I was in high school of like kit 3D printers and you'd cross your fingers and hope it worked and like all the software was super like ghetto looking. And then when I remember like the era of being in college and it was just like straight Ultimakers.
Oh.
And it was like not very interesting to me when it was in that era for some reason.
It wasn't, because it was just the kits put together. So it was a very there wasn't any magic in it. It's just like, yeah, there's 4 motors moving in a direction. I forgot, you guys had a big old Ultimaker print farm there at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
It was like, what was it, like 70, 80 machines or something like that? You guys had a mess of them.
It was of that magnitude, yeah. There was a lot of them.
There was a bunch of them.
And then I feel like the next era was like Ender 3s and PLA.
Yeah.
Like when we went from ABS to PLA and then the Ender 3 came out, like that was a big shift. And then the last era is just like the Bamboo era.
Yep. That is probably one of the best timelines and the naming of them all. Of like, yes, kits, the formalized perfect kit, and then yes, low cost kit and crap and then yes, the formalization of an actual real product.
And like I simultaneously love and hate the Bamboo era that we're in now, because like, do you think I would hate it or you think I would love it?
I would think that you would love it unless you're an engineer who just likes tinkering. But I don't. I feel like you can get to the point a little bit more than that and that kind of stuff to where you're probably fine with them all. Or
it's that adage of like if you want a project, don't buy a Bamboo, and if you want like a tool, buy a Bamboo.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love it and hate it because like I love it in terms of like, all right, I'm past all the like tinkering with it, like I just want to make stuff. Mm-hmm. But I hate it in that like talking to people that just got started in this era, I'm like, you have no idea how hard it was.
Oh, you're just being the old salt. Back in my day, when we had to level the beds with 4 screws on every corner. Yeah, 3 years ago, when life was hard. Oh, goodness.
But it's funny because the Bamboo really did change my opinion, because I was doing like some side work with 3D printing, like helping like local inventors and stuff. And I think at one point I was like, oh, I want like a print farm. And then my wife got a Bamboo A1 Mini when it first came out as like, this would just be fun to print stupid crap on, like people do. And like I saw how easy it was to use for somebody that had, she's an engineer but no 3D printing experience whatsoever.
Sure.
She does software, and I was like, there's no middle ground to be had here. Either you're a huge print farm and you have like all the economies of scale and everything like what you guys have, or like if you want to make some prototypes or whatever, like you're just gonna buy the Bamboo and use it because it's that easy to use. So yeah.
Yes, the middle ground. Well, the middle ground farms still kind of exist, but always around like a central base product. There's, either full prototyping, kind of injection molding with 3D printing to kind of get the low volume stuff, and then, full, big, large farm. And those are the things you can do. But if you try to do like high mix with 10 machines, you'll ruin your life.
Exactly.
And then if you try to do, high mix with what we ruined our lives.
I think the people doing like their own product with their own set of 10 machines, that's probably working out really well for them. But trying to do high mix is just like you're fighting a losing battle.
Oh, you really are. Because there's so much variability in everything that can be done that you just end up having an engineering project on every single part. And that's just not doable, especially if you're trying to have any sort of consistent pricing or have it open for the world.
And
that's
people have done some amazing stuff though, like with products in 3D printing.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, obviously, but yeah, I mean,
Go
like
for it. Yeah.
that's
What's like the
yeah. I
favorite
was gonna
real
say
products you've seen with printing? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of the first thing, like this is my biggest pet peeve, is like all the best 3D printing products. You don't know they're 3D printing products because they don't advertise the fact that it's 3D printed.
The wildly open secret out there that 3D printing is not a feature. It's just a freaking
Right.
process.
Like that stopped being a feature a long time ago.
I think it was
Like
about 2014.
you don't go to the store and look for, injection molded shoes or
Yes.
whatever. You're just looking for shoes.
Exactly. What's
I
one
think
of the products that you've run into that you like a lot?
My favorite one I think is this business, and I don't know them at all, called Chin Mounts, and they make mounts for action cameras for different helmets. So be it GoPro, DJI, Insta360, all those. And it fits every helmet perfectly because what they do is they either go to the store, buy the helmet, and return it, which I think is probably what they're doing. And then 3D scanning it and making a mount that fits the curvature of it perfectly.
Yeah.
Which is something you would never do with 3D printing because there's hundreds and hundreds of different helmets across mountain biking, motocross, motorcycles, skiing, and all that. And so they're not worried if it's a super rare helmet and they only sell 4, they're not worried about it because they didn't invest in a tool. So it's a perfect application of 3D printing. And they don't say anywhere the fact that their mounts are 3D printed. And it's a couple grams of plastic. And they sell them for like $30. And I bought one before and didn't even realize it was 3D printed until it showed up. And then I was like, kind of, like I wasn't pissed about it. I was kind of like proud of it. But, I was like, I could have made this.
You're a 3D printing guy. He's like, I could have made this at home. Yes, exactly.
But, and I got an email shortly thereafter, and that was maybe 2022 or 3 that they had sold their 1 millionth mount.
Really?
So I'm sure they're like probably at 2 million now or 3 million because they were growing exponentially too.
Oh yeah, and that's the perfect like category of it all because the motorcycles are way broader than everybody realizes and just the bottomless pit of stuff.
So that's probably my favorite one, but there's a lot of like little niche products like that are 3D printed, usually not advertised the fact that they're 3D printed, and and I actually think like you can get a nice like CMF, like, all your colors and textures if you really like do it right. Like I've seen, like depending on what kind of filament you do, how you orient the layer lines, you could do like the fuzzy skin or whatever. You can get some like interesting appearances. And one of the things like I really like doing with it is using a IR laser on it to like take the pigment out of the filament.
Oh really?
So you can use an IR laser on a lot of 3D prints after the fact. The darker the color, the better.
Because it'll absorb the
result.
Better.
But like if you use it on a black and you tune it right, you can suck all the black pigment out, and you get like purely whitish tan text.
Oh, for just the top layer in order to get the contrast there and all that kind of stuff.
Well, on any layer, honestly, like depending on how you orient it, if you put it in the laser sideways or whatever,
Right.
But I've seen some people do some cool patterns and stuff with that. Like doing that, incorporating the 3D prints with things that aren't 3D printed, like little laser cut metal pieces and stuff. Like you can get a lot of cool stuff. I think a lot of people think like, oh, 3D printed products, like you got a bad rap. Like 3D printed products suck. It's like, no, just the people that were using 3D printing sucked at designing products. And like how many other products do you buy that are only using one manufacturing technology for the whole thing, that are a single color, that have no text? It's not about the fact that it's 3D printed.
No, not at all. It's just like you say, yes, the comprehensive product has become 3D printed and presented in that way. But that explanation that you just gave is no way that's going to happen in Walmart when somebody is actually shopping for the thing. So go make something, move on with life. Because no one cares, no one understands. This is the thing, too. Like, the 3D printing industry as a whole is just so doggone tiny. And nobody realizes how incredibly tiny it is compared to anything else at all. When freaking woodworking tools are 5 times bigger than the entire 3D printing industry.
Yeah.
So the amount of scale that is to be reached yet before this even starts to become prevalent, or anybody gets to have an opinion or have enough data to say, oh, 3D printing is bad, we're not even close to that yet. But like you say, yeah, the customers don't care. So long as the object does what the customer anticipated and you are transparent about it, customers do not have opinion about a 3D printed part so long as it isn't garbage when it shows up.
I think it's fine if it's further down in the description, like, oh, 3D printed nylon, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's fine, but I wouldn't put it in the title, frankly.
Oh, no. No. Because nobody Googles that. If somebody's wanting a chin mount, they look for a chin mount. Nobody puts 3D printed, oh, I really need a 3D printed version of this. Any more than
but I'm really excited about like how much the barrier to entries come down on all sorts of like low and no tooling manufacturing, be it like laser cutting, CNC, the access to like desktop CNCs, but also the access to like machine shops through, you know, the various Internet of Things, like all you can get to them through your craft clouds and your Senka Sen 3D, which is pretty new and all that. Yeah. And I'm just excited that like there's all these paths towards making a product without a huge initial investment that are more approachable now than they were like 10 years ago.
Do you think all those other laser cutting is really similar to printing to where it could be digitized to the same degree, almost? Do you think the other CNC techs and that kind of stuff will get to the same level of not accessibility as 3D printing, but the same utility as 3D printing to where, upload a model and somebody will go and machine it for you?
I think it's getting to where, go and upload a model and people will machine it for you for a remarkably low cost. But I don't think... I hope it does, but I'd be shocked if like desktop CNC has a desktop 3D printing moment because the cam is so involved compared to slicing.
Yes, and it's kind of just a dangerous machine. You can break a blade, fling something out the side. There's stuff that spins fast. The worst thing that can happen with a 3D printer is the nozzle whacks you and you get a small burn or something like that, but it can't take a finger off.
It can take a finger off, and like left unattended, the disaster can only be like, but so bad. Whereas left unattended, the CNC disaster can be very bad.
What's like the worst CNC disaster? I mean, if somebody made a cheap CNC machine, the motors grind and move around the same way a blobbed printer head does. I guess you can chew up the motor.
I guess not. I don't know.
I don't know. Because this is always kind of like the analogy that I have. I don't understand why 3D printing is different from CNC outside of like the danger zone of it all, because 3D printing has lapped CNC in the consumer context. CNC has been around since frickin' 1920 or whatever when we first started putting gears on the stupid things, and now it's had 100 years to try to get evolved here. But 3D printing came, conquered, and is now the default consumer device as compared to CNC mills. And I'm like, a CNC, like laser cutters and CNC mills should have been easier, or at the very least, like a CNC router table or something. Why didn't those take off more, and why did 3D printers... Might have just been because...
the complexity of like the fixturing.
It might be that, but it also might have just been a more limited type of device. Because why would I cut out a 2D thing if I can just have a 3D printer that can make the plate and make a three-dimensional object? And the digital tech that allowed them both to be controlled appeared at the same moment.
I think the concept of additive is more like mentally approachable than subtractive too. The same way like people have like a lot of engineers really struggle to understand like the DFM of like injection mold tooling because you're thinking about like the inverse. Yeah. And that might be the same thing with CNC, is like thinking about how you're going to get down to this little shape from this big shape that's not the same shape is probably more complicated than like thinking about, how I'm going to just make this shape from nothing.
That's fair. I can get on that with like regular sort of CNC stuff if you're machining down a block of aluminum. But like for 2D laser cutting and that kind of stuff, that could have lasers don't go because lasers are just dangerous and they burn out too fast. But it must have just been like the safety of 3D printing. The fact that nobody could really hurt themselves. Yeah.
And yeah, I guess like CNC and laser and stuff makes a big mess too, in a way.
That
Probably
is true.
like similar reasons as to why resin printing like really didn't take off.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right. The messes and the hassle of the system.
And I know that like with FDM, like there's some air quality like concerns,
Yeah,
but
that's
I have like an air quality sensor in the house, and I've put it like very close to the 3D printers and stuff. And anytime like I've had people like, "Oh, aren't you worried about printing that in your house?" And I'm like, "Look, when my wife does her hairspray in the morning, the sensor starts going up. When I
yes.
print glass filled nylon stuff, the sensor does not go up."
Yes. You ever walk down a sidewalk alongside a whole bunch of cars? You're taking in more stuff. You paint a room.
Right.
You do whatever else it was.
Cooking's actually like terrible.
Oh
For
yeah.
your air quality. Like
Use
our
some
air purifier
Lysol
will
or
go
some
nuts if
Febreze.
we, sear a steak or anything.
Exactly. All those sort of carcinogens. And yeah, go in and take a big old breath of a Febrezed room. I'm sure that's not bad for you at all.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. It's mainly the 3D printing community just wanting to obsess about something to where the air quality thing has become an obsession, and it's something that you can kind of smell when you're printing with PLA, and really could smell when you were printing with ABS, and that's one to certainly avoid. But ABS is a dead material anyway, so who cares anymore?
Yeah.
Makes a good video.
I think one interesting path is like on the automation of CNC. I was actually having a conversation with LinkedIn today with somebody who I misunderstood him at first, and I thought he was saying that when he ordered CNC parts from China recently, DMLS parts showed up with CNC like tolerances on like the bores and stuff. And I was like, I would not be happy if I ordered billet parts and that showed up.
Yeah.
But he then like later explained, no, I actually just told them make this however you see best, and that's what they thought was best. And
he had some impossible geometry in there.
Yeah, so it's interesting to think about like maybe where that's gonna go in terms of like the combination of the two. We have at Yamaha, we have one of the Meltio nozzles on a 5-axis Haas. So it can do the additive and the subtractive, and it goes through that whole feedback loop of it adds some, it takes some off, it adds more, it takes more off. That'll be interesting, but
for sure. That whole system of the combination, especially for the metal parts, makes total sense.
It has a lot of issues though.
What are you running into?
I don't work directly with it, but I work near them and talk to them and stuff, and like we have a running joke of the ice cream machine at McDonald's has more uptime than that machine. It's just constantly breaking. Like the techs are there like every week. Like they might as well just get a desk at our office.
Oh, that's fair. It is 2 machines in one, so double the trouble on the whole thing.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts, a lot of horsepower. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's constantly amazing to me that anything ever gets manufactured. I'm just like, do you realize how many things have to go right for that part to go out without a fingerprint on it and everything else? I'm like, it's freaking hard to make an object and have it be perfect for you each time. And it's
insane.
So,
I go down to like our like so our assembly for wave runners and stuff is in Georgia. And it's like a true assembly line, just like an automotive one would be for a car. And I go down there sometimes, and it is like truly remarkable if you really think about like how do all these parts show up at the right time, and they're constantly switching between like this model, next model, switching colors, switching from wave runner to ATV to golf cart, all on the same line, and
that's brutal.
Like nothing stops, like it goes on without a hitch, and it's insane that all those parts are showing up at the right place, that all those parts are even right in the first place before they get there.
Have you been able to like run through the software system and all the things that keep... Well, actually, I'm going to back this up. How do they train the people to interact with that? Or how does the system direct people so that they can deal with those switches as they're happening? Because there's no way people are handing out a sheet each morning and saying, hey, this is what you're going to do today.
Yeah.
Because that just doesn't work. But how have you messed with the system?
So, I mean, I'm like far on the R&D side of things, so I'm not that well versed on it, but I know there's a lot of screens, there's a lot of lights, there's a lot of noises. So I think they're they're trying to make it as idiot proof as possible in terms of like there's a million things in your face and in your ears anytime you need to do something differently.
Do people have headsets at all or anything along those lines
to where it's like walking? They have headsets, no, but they have like audio.
Totally. Yeah, it's fascinating. I think the Tesla in manufacturing you had assembly line with Ford, and then Toyota came along with the lean principles and actually implemented it. And then you basically had Tesla, who actually created such a high flexibility environment just because they have a big brother directing everybody. But I'm still like, how do you make sure everybody reads the new directions each day when somebody changed the frickin' screw at the bottom of that dumb car? And I'm just like, I still wanted... There's enough people like coming out of Tesla and those kind of things and spreading around to where the ideas are starting to filter out. But I'm still like, they have gone beyond what lean could do traditionally with Kanban tags and all the rest of it, to where the manufacturing engineering has evolved so much in the last 5 years because of like Tesla. And these kind of things, and everybody else realizes it's valuable and is moving it around because you got to reshore and figure out how to pay for it. But yes, those systems, I'm always fascinated to know how other people have implemented those systems, because to have the whole line change when you still have humans in it is such a giant... It's tough to reprogram robots. It's really tough to tell the guy, hey, you're making a golf cart today, and have all the screws still go into it right. That's just brutal.
When you made something that floats the previous day.
That too, exactly. All these things. Oh, you're laying down screws, now you're laying down glue. Go. And you're like, all right.
Now, I will say the manufacturing engineering is always like very reluctant to change anything. Like, if you want to add a hole somewhere, like you better have a really, really good financial reason to add that hole.
Do you know what like the cycle time is? You're at R&D. Do you get to see how long it takes for a change to propagate through the system?
Like in terms of like a part change, or like what's the R&D cycle on the development of a unit?
No, like, okay, you guys have decided, okay, this is worth putting in this new screw onto this existing product. How long does it take for that screw to go into production?
They usually don't like to make major changes except for on model year variants. So, if it's anything like major, especially if it's structural, but because they're going to want to do like a pre-production run of units, go test all those, do all the full durability testing and all that.
That's fair.
But I work on accessories is the main thing I work on, and so we're almost like an internal entity that acts almost like an aftermarket in terms of we're in charge of moving quickly and solving problems that they aren't going to solve on the unit side for many years, or maybe until like it turns over to a new variation.
Okay. How broad do accessories go? Does it all go all the way to like engine mods, all the way back up to a beer cup holder or something like that, or what is your
pretty
domain?
Much. Pretty much. We don't do a whole lot of performance stuff because like the EPA regulation is so stringent now with that kind of stuff as to what, especially on watercraft, because on off-road they can get away with more performance modifications because they'll sorry, we're getting super in the weeds, but because they can say it's for off-road use only or racing use only, and that's a realistic assumption because there is a lot of people who have private land and people that do race, and that's where they're using those accessories. Now, on watercraft side, that's not a realistic assumption because there's not a whole lot of racing. How many people really have private bodies of water we have a hard time selling much performance stuff, but it's not something we're unwilling to work on.
Oh, gotcha.
A lot of it is upfitting for like fishing and touring and, tow sports or the things people do on the water.
Gotcha. So what in your division and with any one of the products, how does a product get cleared for you guys to start working on it? Or are you guys the actual like kind of market evaluators too of like, do people care before you start working on
so we like literally sit with product management and they'll come up with like So what essentially what happens is like a unit will be out, and then like all of a sudden people are doing something new with it, be it like a fishing or a specific application, or we'll see something in the aftermarket where it's like, oh, we should also be doing that. Like that's a really clever idea, and we can usually integrate it into the unit better, and so we'll try to solve that need as quickly as possible, basically. So usually in a year or 2 years max. So we'll get like. They'll give us an idea, they'll give us some like, rough specs, and then we get straight into making rough prototypes, making better prototypes, cutting tools and going to production.
Nice. So the year or 2 max for a full new product
ideally,
to be created.
I can't say things don't take longer than that sometimes, but
that's fair.
That's the goal.
Do they stay within hardware, or do you guys make like a whole, how mechanized or how complex do these accessories get into if you're doing something that like slaps onto the side of one of these machines? Will you make the fishing reel that just plugs in, or just again like beer cup holder and that kind of stuff?
I mean, both. Like it's like we make cup holders and we make far more complicated things.
Okay.
So yeah.
Can you give me an example of one of the more complicated things?
Let me make sure I don't say something that hasn't come out yet.
Exactly. Lights, trolling motor.
The best example I can give of something. Okay, I'll give 2 examples of things that are out. One has been out for a while, which is what's called like a rec deck, which is a whole rear platform for a wave runner that extends the deck of it aft. It's blow molded. There's different accessories that clip into it. There's like a rack that holds a cooler. There's a seat. There's
nice.
All this. It has a ladder. It has a tube that redirects like the jet pump flow and all that. Another one is we just released a new wave runner actually that's kind of breaking the internet. It's like massive.
Yeah.
It's like the pickup truck of wave runners, and stuff on that. Like we're doing stuff with electronics, with washdown kits and stuff. If you look up Yamaha Crosswave, it'll come up.
Oh, that's the name of it? Okay.
Yeah. So we're doing stuff for that, like washdown kits with, pumps and spray nozzles and all that. So they don't get crazy complicated, but we definitely have assemblies that are 50 to 100 parts for some of these, which is not nothing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's see here. This is the thing.
That's it.
That's the thing.
I made that cooler.
Yeah, what, the round one right here? Or where's the cooler?
No, that's actually like a bait bucket. The cooler behind the seat that is angled for styling.
You guys had to make that whole cooler from scratch for this? Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
I did
that thing from scratch. It's been fun. I know everything about coolers now.
What's the coolest fact about coolers that you got now with your newfound knowledge on these suckers? Oh, that's hilarious.
The ice retention numbers that, you could definitely clickbait this. The ice retention numbers that companies like a certain 4-letter name that starts with a Y are complete BS.
Really?
Yeah, basically what they'll do for the ice retention test is they will supercool the cooler, they will supercool the ice that goes in the cooler, and they will pack it as tight with ice so there is no air in the cooler. And that's how they will do their ice retention test, so they can say, oh, it's 5-day ice retention or whatever. The reality is, if you take your warm cooler that's been in the back of your truck and you throw a bag of ice in it and there's already some warm water and warm drinks in there, it's not going to last 5 days.
Oh, yeah. How long does this cooler go? If I chuck this out of my truck and stick it on the back of this sucker, how long do I have out there on the water before everything's gone?
Realistic use, like if your cooler's already hot, it's been in the back of your truck, and you throw a 20-pound bag of ice from the gas station in there, I would say it'll do a solid 48 hours. It'll keep it below 40 degrees for 48 hours.
You got the weekend. You're done. You're good.
That's all anybody's really doing with it.
Exactly. So. If you're going on a freaking cross-country trip or whatever it was in one of these suckers, you can pack out something different. That's hilarious.
That's also probably the strongest cooler that exists right now because our vehicle durability standards are so high.
Oh, it had to go to those standards? That's funny.
Yeah, because yeah, I can't say exactly like what our units withstand, but it's something that goes very fast, is designed to jump big waves because people will do it, and it has no suspension, so you can imagine how brutal some of those forces are.
This is true. So it has to take the same. Is it spec'd effectively the same as the hull of this thing then?
In some regards, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
The cooler is going through the same testing that the unit is because it actually comes with every unit. So.
Oh, okay, that's why. I was like, is this an accessory that adds on, or yes, it's actually part of the thing. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yep. It looks sick. Quite frankly, that cooler just sold solo or something.
It has the best latches. It has the best latches of any cooler. I spent so much time getting these latches perfect.
Did you create those from scratch too?
On this. Huh? Yeah.
Did you? Oh, okay. Okay.
I will go to bat on this. Buy any cooler, compare the latches to it, and those latches feel better.
I can't get close to the. Are they plastic latches or steel latches?
So they're like a dual compound latch. So there's like a rubber strap, and then it bites into a plastic tooth, and the latch is plastic. Yeti does a similar thing. On Yeti's newest coolers, not the old ones, but on their newest coolers, they do a similar thing with the stretchy part, but the touch point is hard plastic.
Okay, gotcha.
But I think mine feel better. So.
That's fair.
I'm proud of it.
That's nice. I'm gonna see if I can get in close to this thing here. I want to see. Oh, they haven't gotten out. Oh, it's still in pre-order. Gotcha. When's this thing going in production?
Or it's close.
Oh, gotcha.
I can't say that so much, but it's really close.
That's fair.
But nobody has one other than us right now, so we'll put it that way.
That is fair. Have you been able to ride one of these things around? Did you get to go out there on the water or anything else? Nice.
Yeah, I actually did like rollover recovery testing on it this past February in Georgia, which was not very pleasant.
What? Why? Because you actually have to roll. You're the guinea pig who has to dunk the thing, or how's that all go?
So we have a test standard which I'm not sure if it's an internal test standard or it's derived from somebody else's test standard, but all of Yamaha's units have to be easily recoverable in the event that they are flipped.
Okay.
By a single person.
Okay.
Like a single person can flip it back. And our test standard is such that, I won't say how much I weigh or what our test standard is, because that's kind of...
You're close to the default general or
whatever. But I'm very close to the cutoff, and I happen to have like the right height to width ratio that it works.
You're proportioned correctly to be the dummy in this test or whatever it was here for this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so they would go tip it over, and you're the one. Do you have to slog out there into the lake, or are you in a pool while you're doing this flip stuff?
No, we're in the lake. It was cold.
This test standard is like phenomenally specific, and also go out to the lake, see if you can turn it over.
Yeah, we've done it a lot in like a lot of different cases, which kind of eliminates the variation. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay, so
we do things that like. There's certain things where like, yeah, we do it in a very corporate way, but there's also some degree of testing where like we just do it in the real world thing because the real world thing is what matters.
Exactly. Yeah, that's totally fair.
That came down a lot to like how we test our units is they tried like, dropping it and flipping it and everything with the machine every which way, but somehow we would always find a way to break things when we just rode it really aggressively.
Yep.
So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's always the situation.
Hard to predict everything.
Yeah, you try to get all the variables, and there's no way you ever will. There's some stump stuck in the water, and somebody cracks the wave wrong, and all that.
That's one of the things that bothers me about like maybe like getting back out of the weeds, like about the topology optimization stuff, is like how are you like what if you get this one, like I've seen like motorcycle frames and stuff done with topology optimization, and I'm like, what if you get that one really weird force, like you hit this weird pothole in a turn and it's like something you just never thought was going to happen. Like, I hope you have enough safety factor on your material usage that it doesn't just like instantly split down the middle.
Oh yeah. Have you been able to mess with those parts much?
Not at Yamaha. I've messed with like the softwares and stuff for it, but just on my own time. But
oh yeah, they're
they
absolutely.
definitely have a lot of like sex appeal right now in terms of like the motorsports and industry and all that. Like it's one of those things where it's like it just looks cool. They will throw unlimited money at it.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, yes, it's worth getting the extra gram, and yes, we presume that we know everything specifically about it because you're going to stay on the course or whatever else it happens to be. But yeah, for a consumer product, it's weird. And also the fact that it locks you into that particular manufacturing process, it's just not scalable. So outside of
Yeah.
aerospace and yeah, really performance sort of things, you're just stuck with all kinds of stuff. I've always thought it was kind of over-engineered because I never thought the optimization was enough compared to making an I-beam. I'm like, I don't need an I-beam that's organically shaped. An I-beam's fine. It's very lightweight and very efficient. It's like moving on with life.
For sure. I think, but simultaneously, I think some of those niches are like the absolute best niches to be in with 3D printed product. Because it's like, like 3D printing's not gonna, beat injection molding when you just go to the absolute limit of cost. I mean, I know you guys are doing like really well with it.
Yeah, you and I are going to disagree on this, but go ahead.
Okay. Like, no, I do buy your argument of like, it's the same amount of electricity, it's the same amount of plastic. Like, at the end of the day, there's no reason why like it can't be the same. From like a first principles perspective, I get it. But I still feel like it's going to be really hard for somebody to compete on a very commoditized item like a part for your dishwasher that they sell 1 million of with a 3D printed part versus someone that's making the injection mold part. It's just going to be hard to compete. But I think like the best niches to be in with a 3D printed product are niches that do have more cost appetite, like the gear oriented things like the outdoor gear, the mountain biking, the motorsports, the cars, the things where people
the very specific
aren't shocked by spending $200 on something. Like it's just expected. I think those are the best niches to be in with a plastic or a metal 3D printing because you do have that like headroom to work with. Like they're really gonna pay if it looks cooler. The part for their dishwasher, they don't really care what it looks like. Like
the performance and the appearance both make a really big difference over there. If we were a metal 3D printing company or whatever it was, we would be all over bike parts in all kinds of different directions. Because exactly. It's sex appeal. It's 3D printing still sounds cool over there. And they look cool. All the things are great. But yes, running it all out for like 10 years or whatever it was, you're still right. The fully commoditized parts where we're going to make 10 bajillion whatever iPhone cases of this pink style, sure, go crazy with molding. My argument is that I think there'll just be fewer of those big win type of products. Because as more of the shopping... There's almost no products that ever get to that volume. Like, of all the 50,000 SKUs inside of Walmart, most of those will only sell 10,000 units across all of Walmart's network, maybe 25, and then they will disappear and Walmart will get the next guy who made whatever widget that week, and they'll rotate those in there. So the necessity to have to get to 1 million copies of it all, those products are so extremely rare that... You're doing them internally anyway, and even again, if those products existed, get into that volume. I can't. If 3D printing continued to be more scalable and cost effective in that kind of a way, I can't believe that people would not want to change or evolve the product over the course of 1 million things. I can't imagine an engineer or product company that's moving really fast who would not want to update it every 10,000 units based on feedback or learnings or location and geography, if they could possibly do it. And it adds 25% to the manufacturing cost. Even at the commoditized level, 25% to the manufacturing cost is nothing compared to the retail value of it all. So I think the market will evolve. In addition
I actually totally
to the technology evolving.
I do totally agree with you in terms of like if I had to predict in terms of like what's going to happen in the next 10 years, I think the percentage of products that are produced with tooling oriented stuff like injection molding and all of that, casting and stuff, is going to go down. The amount of stuff that's CNC, 3D printed, laser cut is going to go up as a percentage of products. Mainly because of the advantages of, like you said, like you can make a running change very easily. And there's like no upfront investment cost. So for like a big company, it's not a problem to throw $500K at tooling. But for like a guy that just has an idea, doesn't know if it's going to work out. He's got all the time to burn on the design, but he doesn't have the money to spend on tooling when like he might not sell any of them if the market doesn't want it. Right. They're just going to gravitate towards those ways of manufacturing.
Right. It's the democratization of manufacturing the way like software democratized when, I can make an Android app and it'll just be posted there and maybe it'll sell a bunch or maybe it won't. To be able to now do that with hardware in a meaningful sort of a way to where you don't even have to buy the printers. Just has more people creating ideas so that you can have the one or two Ubers that actually come out of the end of it all. But everybody gets to try, so you can actually get to that ideal model.
I think we're like at the beginning of, like software was always that way, just inherently.
Yeah.
And then I think we're at the beginning of that hardware having that moment. The same moment that like entertainment had with Spotify and YouTube and all that, where like suddenly the big companies don't have the advantage that always protected them.
Yeah.
Buy the $100,000 camera. I think we're at the beginning of that hardware moment. I don't know. What do you think that's true?
I think we're really close to the beginning of that hardware moment. Of course, I'm biased because we're building some of the infrastructure for all that kind of stuff. But like yes, not even necessarily just because everybody can get access to the computers themselves. That's like having, we've got the personal 3D printers. Oh shoot, I hate analogizing 3D printers to PCs because it's not the same thing. But personal 3D printers created the PCs. But now as print farms start to actually scale up and become reliable, in a substantial sort of a way, that becomes the server farms. Because you had PCs for 20 years, but Jeff Bezos still had to build Amazon on frickin' DAC servers that cost $1 bajillion. But then when Zuckerberg and everybody came along, they're like, I'm going to host it on a frickin' AWS server. And that way I can prop up this website on the weekend, and it can have one user or it can have 1 billion users, and I'm indifferent to the whole situation. You couldn't do that on a PC. You could stack up a bunch of PCs, and the guys at Google did that for a little bit. So it went through that evolution of infrastructure on the software side.
Yeah.
And printing is now getting into that evolution to where print farms are truly scalable enough to produce either one part or 1 million parts for you, so that if you're profitable on part one, you're profitable for the next million, and it doesn't matter, and it's still useful to customers, and everybody else is making money. The trick is continuing to make it easier and easier. And what we fight with is how do we make it easier and easier? Because the issue that the 3D printing world has is also the issue that early computing had. When you have pure engineers working all the way through, that's not terribly entrepreneurial. Because even though engineers create the most companies and make the most inventions, they're not very good business people. So there's just a higher risk of failure with that group. Then if you can get it to somebody else, of some guy who's just a marketing genius who's like, I've got a credit card and a Facebook account. I'm going to buy ads. Let's go. That's a cool thing. That's when it breaks loose.
I think I'm actually working on something with two of my friends that you may be very interested in, and I don't want to say what it is on camera because
you're good.
I think it's a pretty good idea. It ties in a lot with that democratization of engineering, but it has a lot to do with the fact that engineers don't want to market things.
Not at all.
They'll do one of two things. They'll either assume the thing they make needs no marketing at all. And I'm like, hey, genius, the build it and they will come thing, it doesn't work when nobody knows what you built.
Yes. Yes. Oh, but no. The product is the only thing that matters.
Nobody knows about it.
No, it's going to catch off tomorrow and it's going to just go. Everyone's going to discover it. I'm going to do one Facebook post and everybody in my family will buy it and tell their friends. And then it'll blow up tomorrow.
When you haven't warmed up the Facebook algorithm at all, like Facebook's just going to be like, oh, nobody's engaged with your things in the past? Okay, nobody shall see this one either.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think engineers should be doing no marketing. Or, I mean, they should, right? But
they should.
The reality is it's not in their core competency, and I think a lot of them inherently know it's not in their core competency and try to come up with some reason why it's not needed, but it is needed.
There's that. There's the overthinking of it to think that it's an engineering problem again, as opposed to just showing the thing on the regular. Everybody gets in their head about marketing of I need to have the brand and I need to have the page and I need to prepare all this stuff. And it's like, no, you need to show the thing to the world and explain it clearly and concisely. And then do that a couple hundred more times. And then by the end of that, you will have marketing and you will understand what your brand is based on how people interact with you. And that'll evolve over time. But everybody, especially engineers, have this preconception of like the product needs to be perfect when it goes out the door, and my presentation of the product needs to be perfect when it goes out the door. And the thought is, no, the product and all of it needs to be just going out the door on a continuous basis.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think that's a big thing, and a lot of engineers too, like they feel like they can only solve the problems they have. But another big one is like there's this whole batch of problems that you don't know exist. And that's a huge one. Like one of the things I've been doing recently, which is really weird, is 3D printing wheel caps and other plastic parts, but a lot of wheel caps for exotic cars that are older. Because all the plastic from like the early 2000s and late 90s has like evaporated and disintegrated and exploded by now. And they don't make any of those parts anymore. And the people that own those cars will drop unlimited money to make sure that that car looks like when they bought it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I didn't know anything about this, and I don't know anything about exotic cars because I can't afford one. But one of my friends sells exotic cars, and he has been giving me the hookup on every time somebody needs something, he lets me know, and we make it happen.
This is absolutely the trick to it. Like the 3D printing industry could double tomorrow if we could just aggregate all the parts that are like out of production, and we knew what the demand was for them.
Yeah.
But we just can't because, yes, it's all these little niches and this insider knowledge who... Those people have to discover that 3D printing is relevant to their situation. There's no way for us to go scrape it or AI it or anything else. You just have to be in that industry, which again is why 3D printing just needs to make it easier and easier for somebody who's not necessarily interested to be able to access it to then solve their immediate problem.
Yeah, and I think that like what you guys are doing, like I don't think like you're in any way in competition with like consumer 3D printing.
No,
not because. Like the bigger Bamboo Labs gets, the bigger you guys get. Because at the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to probably prototype a product on my Bamboo Labs. But like when I want to make more than 4 and I'm happy with the design, like I'm going to let you guys do it.
Yes. It's also just silly because even Bamboo right now as a $1 billion company is still way too small compared to the amount of plastic stuff that can be made on the planet on any given day, whether at home or in production or any other way. So it's just so darn early that it's a useless comparison because $1 billion is still 0 compared to $1 million at this stage of the game because it's just so much. We're dealing with trillions of dollars. We're all at just barely 1%.
It's exactly like what you were saying, where it's like if you build a website, like you're gonna initially build it on like localhost and test it on localhost, but like when you're ready for a lot of people to use it, you're gonna put it on a server.
Yeah, exactly. The scale is just completely different as you get rolling. And 3D printing has not hit any level of scale. The big companies here are still bragging about, we sold 1,000 machines this year for 100,000 a pop. And I'm just like, great. We're still artisanal.
How big do you think Bamboo is going to get? Because for a second when they released the H2D, I thought that was the end of the run.
I did too. And I still kind of do. The H2S that just came out, I am wildly... It's the first... No, it wasn't the H2S. It was the Vortec. The Vortec changer. Have you seen that material changer yet?
Yeah.
I was like, they cooked. That is correct. That's the right solution for multicolor. And I have never seen the correct solution for multicolor. I'm like, nope, that one works.
Yeah, because like it's not a change. It's not a tool changer, and it's not a dual nozzle.
Exactly. Like, it's slick. It's clean. It's precise. Yeah. That's the right thing. Multicolor still is not scalable in any sort of fashion, but that methodology for color changing is going to become the way of doing it. Just swap out the nozzle and go. Cool. Perfect.
Yeah, and the reality is too, like, there's not a lot of multicolor single parts in production in any product.
Yes, exactly right. It's not a thing. And yeah, the amount, again, it comes back to like scale. If anybody's ever like, oh, we have to get multicolor, otherwise we can't sell, I'm like, you haven't seen enough products out there. There is still, I don't know, a few $100 million worth of single color parts that can easily be made and sold right now. We do not need another feature in order to enable more revenue than what the organization is currently making.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can run forever.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think other than like a decal, I can't think of any multicolor single parts that we make.
Oh no, no. It's always over molded, and yeah, sticking the grips together and everything else, multiple different pieces. And yeah, and there's even at the store, we talked before about how like at the store you'll see plenty of things with multiple colors on them and that kind of stuff, and not a lot of single color products. But the way to level up a product in that way can be done, like you say, from the laser marking to a sticker to just a passive paint or any other sorts of things of getting these done, or having two things go together that just plug the logo onto the side of the thing. So
yeah, one thing I like doing a lot too is like splitting the part up and doing like the fuzzy texture on some of it and regular on the rest.
Yeah, that is really underutilized to create that illusion of contrast. That's really slick.
And you can do different fuzzy texture settings on different parts of the part and do straight on the rest.
And in performance gear like motocross and all the rest of it, that looks sick. And it's perfect. And it still seems really legit to everybody. That's a perfect place to be doing it, is in performance gear.
Yeah, I think we are finally too getting to that point where like people are no longer associating 3D printing with like weakness, which is I mean,
that's finally dying away because again, the design is caught up, and the materials are starting to catch up. The materials are still wildly anemic compared to what they should be. Until PLA is no longer the dominant plastic, we're going to be in that era, but it's coming and it'll get there. And again, the filament manufacturers have a bunch of problems themselves, which is why that hasn't happened before. None of them are willing to do a bamboo where they fully commit to a core technology or core material and just like only make that and make it the thing that then becomes the default. There's materials out there that could do it right now, and there's certainly the know-how to do it right now, but nobody's really doing it. And
I have I printed a like carbon fiber nylon exhaust hanger for the motorcycle I have right now because it got a newer gen Yamaha motorcycle before there were aftermarket exhausts for it. So I used one off of a previous one and like redid all the hangers and stuff. And I did it out of the carbon fiber nylon, not because I couldn't order like some bent sheet metal, which is what like traditionally you would use for that, but I just like wanted to test it because it would get hot. It would like sit out in the parking lot all day in like the cooking Georgia sun in the middle of the summer, and like it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. You could have done that with PET G, but isn't it heating up from the actual exhaust itself?
I mean, it's really close to the exhaust. It gets hot.
You should get some real heat down
there now.
And it
like shoots flames like, like a foot from the hanger. So
Right, okay, yeah, exactly. I'm like, the freaking Georgia sun, whatever. PET G can take the Georgia sun even in the summer. But the actual exhaust, the nylon will be sick. Yeah. How long have you had that running?
Like a year now.
Okay, and the thing is still holding up?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The nylon's a freaking beast. Sucks water out of the air like a son of a gun, but yeah, you get past that.
Yeah, that's true. Kind of like less of a problem once you print the part, more of a problem while you're printing it. To some extent, like it's a good thing once you print the part because it gives a little bit of toughness, but...
Yes. Yeah, it's only during the printing. After that, who cares? Whatever. Go.
How much like how many like nylons and filled materials and stuff do you guys print with? Like, what percentage of what you do is what material wise?
I'm not giving you that, but I like the engineering materials. Nylon's not one of the ones we lean on, mainly just because, the storage and the overall utilization of it, it's just finicky. Not even finicky necessarily because of us processing it in our facility, but people delivering it to us full of water and everything else. Having to go through the process of drying it and getting it up to spec again is just too much when you're trying to do something at scale. We don't need these intermediary processes. I'm trying to get my manufacturers to stop sending me spools in boxes because we don't need the box to have to take off of the thing. Give me a pallet wrapped with all the spools on it. Done. But the performance materials should be done more. We would like to do more of them. But so many of those are purely corporate clients, and corporate clients are just slow to convert and slow to discover. And everybody else wants the I'm going to say like the small businesses or the startups and that kind of stuff that end up working with us a bunch. They want something cool and interesting to where they're chasing down other materials or they're doing a weird sort of consumer product where the presentation is more important as opposed to like the actual function. So the engineering materials tend to be done a little bit less.
Gotcha.
I would like to do them more, and they should be done more because there's endless piles of hardware and wheels and gears that could be made with printing and be really good. It's just like freaking put a lawnmower wheel in stock and have it made on demand. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But people just don't think that direction because it's boring. The hardware stuff is boring, even though there's so much low-hanging fruit on it all to make accessories and hardware and good functional little parts. We're going to try to push on it some more. We've got a few things that'll help speed it up. We had a new product come out. By the time this publishes, this will be out. I don't mind telling you here. We have a product coming out called Portals, which lets somebody upload a model and get it listed and sold in about 30 seconds, so they don't have to have an Etsy store or anything else.
Okay.
That will let all these people who are like, I designed something for the wife, or you designed the strap for your motorcycle exhaust, just upload the file and have it available in case anybody else.
It'll be your marketplace, basically.
It'll be effectively our marketplace.
Okay.
But it just makes it so much easier for all of this hardware that people are custom building to just get out there into the world, because they don't have to even deal with the hour of setting up an Etsy store or the stress of setting up an Etsy store. It's just the expectations are set. You upload the file. If somebody can buy it, Slant's printing it, and it's their fault if it goes wrong. And they answer the emails and that kind of stuff too. So that, I think a lot more of the hardware stuff will come in, even though, like here initially at launch, we'll be doing a bunch of matte colors and that kind of thing. But because we're drafting off the 3D printing.
Yeah, I think that's like, I want to say that's like my biggest single prediction for like the future of product development is going to be like digital distribution of physical products.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Being able
and this
to have
tariff thing is just going to speed that along, I'm sure.
Oh, the Portals thing is going to totally break it. It's built for social shopping. You make your Instagram post that gets 1 million views intermittently, and it has a link to the item down in the description. And it took you 30 seconds to make it, so you don't mind. It's like all the designers. Like there's like maybe like 5 3D printing designers who actually have an audience beyond 3D printing nerds who want to print a thing. But they're never going to sell the prints because they don't want to have to deal with it. They don't want to rely on quality, and they don't want to have to run an Etsy store with customer support when they can just sell another model. And they're engineers, and they don't want to talk to people either. But that distribution model to where it's just so easy and so long tail will change it a bunch. And it also just has virality built into it. It's really easy. It's really slick. Somebody can click on the Instagram post, buy instantly without moving to Etsy or moving to Shopify or looking at your cruddily designed store, your cruddy product images. Just all of that goes away. So yeah, we're excited about where that's going to go. And 3D printing dealing with mass customization.
I think I feel like it's a weird balance because like with 3D printing, you're catering to the mass customization of products, but simultaneously you're saying that people don't like having options.
Correct. I don't think it's I don't think they're paradoxical or mutually exclusive. 3D printing allows you to create large quantities of different options. Those do not all need to be presented in the same product because each one of those options is for a different customer. I'm going to be sexist here and say the blue one is for boys and the pink one is for girls.
Yeah.
You don't need those both in the same product listing because you're going to make a video that's going to demo it towards the audience that you want to see it, which is for guys. And then you're going to make a video or an ad that is demoed and targeted towards girls. And you don't want the conversion rate of those two different target groups to be muddied by having pink and blue in the product listing to where the guy has to flip from pink to blue or the girl has to pink from blue to pink. That is, we don't, that used to be really difficult to do in the early days to have that delineation of audiences, and it's not anymore. Your video, your product demo is going to be shown to the people who care. And make sure that your product listing is ready for the people who care. So, yeah, if you're making something for boys that's blue, then just show the blue one and just have a product listing with blue so that you eliminate friction.
That makes sense, like that you have the products based on the marketing message more than the other way around.
Yes, but you're able to now market to each one of these groups because you can create 500 different SKUs in the back that say Jimmy, Johnny, Joey, Jenny, all the way through it all, and that's your customization. But the customization is not decided by the customer. that you are basically just creating an infinite SKU count as opposed to the limited number of choices that customers had before. Now a customer can actually find the exact same thing that they're looking for, whereas before they would have to choose from options, and now every option exists. It's just not all presented at once.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And with AI Gen and everything else, that's even easier now too.
Yeah, so is the longest term thing that like everybody's a product developer because they can just prompt develop the CAD and sell the product in 20 years or 10 years or whatever?
I do expect that. We've talked about this. We thought about this ever since DALL-E came out. When DALL-E came out in 2021 or whatever else it was, we did a demo that weekend of taking that image and turning it into a 3D model. And we're like, we called it magic.com. We're like, here in like 5 years, you will go to a website and you will ask for an object and 10 options will show up with product photos, and then you will pick the one that you want and say buy now, and then the model will be generated and sent to a print farm like ours, and the object will show up.
I have a hilarious story about this actually. So we were looking into like the landscape of anchors at Yamaha. Like anchors that exist for boats and stuff. And I was ChatGPTing like information about anchors, like what are the key parameters, what do people use for what, like what are the isolating the variables regarding it. And ChatGPT said, do you want me to make you a CAD model? And I was like, I'm shocked that you asked, but yes, I would love to see you make a CAD model. And it like made a STL using some Python mesh thing, which like I'd love to get more into like why I think it's going to take longer to be able to do this than people think. But it made an STL, and it kind of resembled an anchor, but it's like the ugliest, most Roblox thing you have ever seen in your life. But we 3D printed it like at scale on like a Prusa XL, like a huge plastic version of it. And like we've been keeping it in the office because everybody's like, what the heck is that thing? And we're like, oh, that's ChatGPT's anchor.
We've actually done this too. The guys made an AI dev app for generating 3D models that uses like OpenSCAD as the backend, and we just feed OpenSCAD.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
And they asked for like an angry bird, and it made this perfect sphere with little triangles popping out the side that is just a silhouette of an angry bird, and it's like it's hilarious because yes, it's so limited, but at the same time, once in a while, it's the reason I care about it and wanted to build the app is it's such an interesting app because as a wrapper for all these things, all the base models, the presumption is that they'll continue to get better. And GPT-5 kind of says that might not be the case anymore for a little bit, but somebody else's problem is to improve these things, and they'll improve horizontally as they get to that category, and somebody will come through and say, oh, we're going to optimize GPT for creating CAD models. So we'll feed in a bunch of images and fix that issue over there so it has a local maxima. But then that product that we have as a wrapper around it will be better. So that's why I wanted it around, is that we get to ride somebody else's wave without really having to do anything, and we can just spread it around inside of our products. But why do you think it's not going to come along as quick as everybody thinks?
Like I can make I'll argue either, just depending on like who I want to argue on this topic. But like whether, like I was saying, like whether I want to be Gen Z or not Gen Z. But my argument for why AI, like the whole AI text to model thing is like going to take a lot longer than people realize, because I think like the GPTs are extremely good at everything that there was huge training sets for.
Sure.
So it's like images, yeah, you got all the Google images. Text, yeah, you got all the internet. Code, yeah, you also have all of the internet. Like you have all Stack Overflow and all that. Yep. But there's not good training sets on like parametric CAD.
Yes.
I think it might be very good at making like graphics, like for a video game, or like, you know, statue type sculpture. A lot of like the stuff you see on like a Thingiverse or a Maker World, but like functional parametric CAD, I think it's going to be a long time because I don't know where they're getting the training. So.
I somewhat agree with that and somewhat don't. There's absolutely a limitation of data, of CAD data out there compared to, yes, images and all the rest of it. But I think images might actually be the secret, because the challenge with it that I've seen is not necessarily... Most of the models could take an image and create a dimensionally correct image from a block with a hole in it and that kind of stuff.
if you are just generating the mesh from a cloud, effectively, just a point cloud congealing the way image gen works and all the rest of it. So those models have the potential to get there because they're basically working around from images and then just refining a point cloud. True parametric design where it's effectively has to be agentic to where you have to do the whole first and there's a sequence of operations that needs to be had in order to do it correctly.
Yeah, and forward and reverse and all that.
Exactly. That is rough, but I think the bigger problem with that is just spatial awareness. I don't even think it's sequence of actions. I think it's just spatial awareness.
So I'll make the pro case for it now, which is that I think I see it. I bet it's going to happen sooner than we think within companies as proprietary. So like, imagine like if whoever has the model comes to Yamaha and says like, let's train it on all of your CAD from like the late 90s until now. And like we feed it all of the motors and all of the layouts of all the vehicles and everything. And now we can go and prompt and say, oh, like make me the new Wave Runner and it's this wide and this long. And I want the hull to have performance characteristics that are in between a GP and an FX. And it's like understand because it's trained on our CAD. Yes. So I could see like that happening because I feel like the quality CAD is unfortunately mostly like locked behind big companies' databases.
Yeah. Especially that's well documented to where it's trainable information.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is the level of documentation that says, you know, this is why we designed this the way we did and all that. Like it needs to.
I was going even lower level than that. Like just having dimensioned drawings of the thing.
Oh yeah, that's true.
As compared to like a Thingiverse model.
Yeah, but also like we do have the level of like text documentation in terms of like like there's almost like not in the technical sense of the word, but like a reinforcement learning of like it understands that we did it this way because of these requirements and this is how it performed in testing and like these are the whatever.
I think that absolutely works because it's also able to. It's effectively an iterative approach to where it's like take our existing products and improve upon them. It's not having to conceive of those products straight from scratch. So it has some baseline to modify, mesh, pull, move around, and that kind of stuff without having to fully design a hull from scratch. Which, yes, you'd have to tune in and all the rest of it. So, yeah, I'd be on board with that. I was going to say that like the companies have too limited of data to get trained, but yes, if you're just modifying and evolving an existing product line, that makes total sense. Yeah, that'll be really interesting. But I think a whole mess of this stuff, coming back from images again, being able to extract 3D information from images will help a ton with this too. And I think I've told this story before or something like that. ChatGPT has vision capabilities in it that are wildly beyond what anybody realizes to identify dimensions.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, it shouldn't be able to do that. There is no artifact in that scene that can tell it how big that square is that I just showed it, and yet it knows. Like, that's so frustrating, but also sick.
What year do you think we'll be able to be like, make me CAD for a motorcycle and like a full set of drawings to where if I went piece by piece, I could make it? I don't know. Because I guess I think that's more like where I'm at when I'm making the argument of like it's not going to happen soon. And I think you're more on the side of like pretty basic like 3D printed stuff.
I'm thinking for fairly basic printed stuff. But if you went through, I think you will get to a CAD software in the next 3 years to where you can concisely describe the part and it will be able to create most parts for you. And then effectively you just have a speech prompted CAD software. To where you're still having to detail everything out and kind of iterate through it, but you're not having to learn what the tools are over on the sidebar. As far as like just giving the prompt of like design a motorcycle, that's like asking when humanoid robots are going to hit. Because it's like...
I think people like confuse the two though, and that's where like... like I almost wanted to like make the pro and con case, because people confuse it of like... I guess like some of the mechanical engineers, like the Gen Z ones like me, are like, oh, I can't wait till AI can make this drawing for me because this is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But then like the older engineers are like, oh, I like doing my job. I don't want AI doing my job. And I'm like, the reality is like,
yes. And it was
AI
fun
is
to
going to
use
do
in
all the
Atlas.
things we don't want to do anyway, like make drawings. Like I feel like we're 3 years out maybe on like just make me 2D drawings for this 3D part because it's such a time sink. And like get me 90% of the way there and I can make the last few corrections and send it out. But like we've gotten demos from some people doing this and they're like not as great as you would think.
For drawings? Really?
Yeah.
I'm amazed that like the procedural ones have not knocked out drawings appropriately yet. Like that is.
I don't know if we're not talking to the right people. I'm pretty sure we're talking to the right people. I've seen a few, and it's like really good for like very niche, like awesome for sheet metal parts, and that's it. Like it can't do like a cast aluminum part, or like it's awesome. Yeah, it's just like injection molded parts. Like it can. I don't know how familiar you are, but like
go for it.
Like injection molded parts, like it'll like kill GD&T. Like it's super good at GD&T. We saw one recently that like murders GD&T. But if we suddenly were like, okay, can we try the part not GD&T, like the normal way? Because a lot of suppliers don't want GD&T because they have to train their employees on it. Like it's a whole language they have to learn. And so like regular dimensions, most people can understand that in, a couple days.
Yes.
So we're like, let's do regular dimensions, and it just like terrible. Because the problem is it doesn't understand the intent of like, I know this part goes here on the vehicle, and it gets mounted at these 3 bolts, and those are critical, and these other areas are not so critical.
Oh, just the definition of critical dimensions?
Yeah, like the definition of what's critical and what's not. It understood it very well for GD&T because with the GD&T application of it, like you could tell it what was critical, and it would like AI whatever it did based off of that. But on regular dimensions, it just like didn't grasp it for whatever reason.
I could see that because I think people kind of overestimate AI because they want it to understand more than it actually does when you're basically just talking to a dumb human again. And once you think about that, you're like, oh, I got to train this guy about how to do this stuff. And
like, I think the auto dimensions thing in Fusion's like as good as any of the third-party ones, honestly, for just like regular dimensioning.
Yeah, I probably agree on that. And yeah, you always have to do the pass of making sure this is critical, this is the main one that I care about, and get rid of the rest of those extras.
But I hate doing drawings, and maybe that's a very Gen Z engineer thing to say.
Everybody's
but
always
I hate
hated
doing drawings.
I can't remember anyone ever who's like...
I am ready for like some AI thing where I can just say, make the drawing, and I do like the last 10% of the work, because that first 90% is what like kills our bandwidth.
Yes. Oh, the drawings are terrible. I think the reason, like all of CAD sucks in so many different directions, but I think it's mainly because it's made by engineers. It was always interesting to me coming from like mechanical engineering and then going into software and like UX design and then like industrial design, the different thought processes. And I'm like actually caring about the person who has to use this thing. And I'm like, CAD sucks because it's made by engineers for engineers. So we tolerate it and we don't whine about this stuff. But this is not the best way of having this be done in any sort of way to make it comfortable or fun. To be like, oh yeah, critical dimensions. Auto-generate the dimensions and let me touch the 5 spots on the iPad that are the critical to re-enhance those dimensions and that kind of stuff. To just make the flow better to where you're not having to pop open a menu and add in the extra decimal points and blah, 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 whatever things you have to do to turn it into the format that you need. All of that is like, just again adding the options and the features so engineers have full control inside of their company to meet the standards, the specs, and the formatting that they need, but it's not user friendly. It's universal, and it's fine for people who want to learn the thing or are required to learn the thing. But like the ways of getting at it in other it's like slicer settings.
Yeah.
Why do slicers have 200 settings in there? Nobody needs those. Nobody ever uses them. You need 5 tops. For anybody. I don't care what you're doing. And then, but no, since 3D printing has been designed by engineers for engineers, it's always had every setting.
You're totally right about that. I don't know, like it just, some of it's like very old school in that it's like, all right, this part's going to get CNC'd, like they're going to stick it in some CAM software.
Yes, there's that.
And if like the regular CNC dimensions are we're comfortable with. We don't need any super tight tolerances on anything. Like, frankly, it doesn't need a drawing. Like, we should just be able to send them the CAD file. But the reason why we make drawings is essentially we treat drawings like it's a contract with the supplier.
Yes.
And they essentially agreed and like that they will hit all this stuff, and if they don't hit what's on the drawing, then they're liable. And that's all it is. Like, we basically treat 2D drawings like a contract. But it sucks that we spend like so much time drafting contracts.
Yep.
So.
Oh, I was doing a first article inspection report the other day, and I was like, this is so stupid, because I know all I'm doing is saying it's my fault if it's not these dimensions that I'm putting down here, but why do I have to do the paperwork to do that? Right. But you're absolutely right. So much of it is about the logistics and the interaction of organizations rather than the actual engineering precision of it all or the manufacturing of it explicitly itself.
Yeah.
Just
how
making
about,
sure
all right, how about this prediction? How accurate do you think this is going to be? I think Bamboo Labs' next big product is going to be a 4 or 5 axis 3D printer.
I don't know. I don't know
if it'll be bamboo. It might be a more like engineering oriented. Have you seen the like? I think it's like called like generative machine or whatever.
Maybe, but it's just the head rolling around or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've heard like the struggle is on the slicer side.
It is, but that's a software problem that's easily solved. Again, it's just going from open source to anything else. The software problem is not that difficult. I think if the multi-axis head eliminated the necessity for support universally, to where Bamboo was like, we can reliably do this across the board, they would do it. But I don't think they would do like an articulated head, because that's just really bad engineering. They might do a slightly mobile bed that would allow it to just tilt to hair.
Yeah.
Because that also would still fit in their boxes. But
and do like the conical slicing type of thing in certain areas or something?
Yeah, you can do that kind of thing. But I don't know if Bamboo would do that, because so much of their innovation is very subtle, and again on the software side, to where they're thinking entirely about scale, and a multi-extruder, multi-head machine doesn't give them more scale and doesn't even give them more audience. I think they'll keep on pushing. Well, they don't need to push on multicolor anymore. We were talking about how the H2D seemed like they bottomed out or whatever else it was. I think the H2S slightly fixes that, and their tool changer is good, but I don't think it solves that market reaction. Because the H2D, H2S, everything else is a more premium machine that the general consumer doesn't care about. So it doesn't increase their unit volumes at all. And I don't think an articulated head increases their unit volumes at all.
I agree with you. I think it'd be like a marginal benefit.
Yes.
But that's where I was like a little shocked by the H2D, because I'm like, if I had to guess, their like volume split on like A1s versus H2Ds has got to be like atrocious.
Yes.
However, I'm sure they make a lot more on an H2D than an A1. Like, I wonder if an A1's one of those products they're selling, and like just knowing they're gonna sell material, they're gonna sell mods, like how much they really making on the machine.
There's a bit of that, but the A1 costs $400 right now.
Something like that.
So they got to make it for about $150. I think the A1 can be made for $150. It might be a little bit more expensive. It might be $200, but again, it ships cheaper than like the P1S and X1s and everything else too. So they make up a bunch of margin.
You think 150? You think that's their multiplier?
Oh no, the maximum of 150 just to be viable in retail. They can probably make it for even less than that. Oh yeah, the rule for a retail product is that the manufacturing cost has to be 30% or less. Otherwise, you can't make it through retail, because you have the wholesaler and the distributor and then the retailer, and everybody takes their cut. So whatever your manufacturing costs, you have to minimum triple it if you ever want to put it on store shelves. Otherwise,
I guess that's true. We have that's not where our multipliers are at.
Yes.
But I mean, we have a similar like stream effect of like we have dealers and everything. But.
Yes. Everybody cutting their pie. The 3 rule is wrong, but it's a good like baseline for it all. The A1, how much does the A1 cost? I don't know. The A1 has a lot of componentry in it that I'm kind of surprised.
I don't think it's like 150.
I don't think it's 150 either. You're right. It's under 100. But then
no, I was gonna go way out the other end. I was gonna say it's like 250.
Over? Oh.
I think it's like 200, 250.
Oh, no, I don't believe that. I don't think it goes 200, 250. Even made in China in an expensive spot.
All right, well, when we end this, we'll go off camera and I'll give you some insights on other products, and maybe you'll change your mind.
Okay, fair enough then. Yeah, anyhow.
I think it's like way slimmer than... I do wonder like how they're handling tariffs right now, because they're not... China tariffs are getting pretty rough, and they did that initial price hike, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm gonna run to Micro Center and buy every X1C left and sell them on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they did that initial hike, because like Micro Center was lagging every other retailer.
Yep.
And they had leftover inventory from Christmas, and I was like, oh, this would be a good move right now.
They still had inventory from... Oh, well, I guess tariffs... Well, no, tariffs came down like 6 months in. Micro Center,
I think, thought they were going to sell way more bamboos for Christmas than they did. When I walked into Micro Center in like the week before Christmas, they like literally had like lined the halls with boxes of Bamboo Labs.
Were they
like they had?
Were they A1s?
A little bit of everything, but like it was like X1s, A1s. Honestly, a lot of like P1Ps. I don't know if Bamboo is trying to like dump them.
No, Bamboo had given them to everybody, and then they released the A1. They really screwed their distributors when they first came out.
But I mean, like, you walked in, and it was, like, lined, like, the walls, the hallways. Like, it was just, like, going through a Bamboo Labs maze.
Oh, wow.
And, I mean, like, I don't think they got through them all.
I'll bet they... Yeah, you're right. They probably didn't. I wonder if Bamboo paid them to... No, Bamboo didn't. I don't know. Bamboo has done so many very aggressive ways of getting these things sold, which is great, because I think a 3D printing company should do it. But they might have like overshot, and I don't know if like they paid to have them on shelves or if they just really pushed their distributors to take them on.
Whenever I want to like check the vibes on 3D printing, like Micro Center's the place to go. Like just go hang out in the 3D printing section for like an hour and just like talk to people that
are shopping.
Sometimes seem like they haven't talked about anybody in like a couple weeks, and like it's super interesting, but like it's a good vibe check. And I'll always ask like the cashiers and stuff too when I'm checking out. I'm like, how many people buying like 3D printers lately? Like how much filament are they buying and stuff? And like we definitely have like all kinds of records in terms of how much filament we bought at Micro Center. But it's interesting like to get that. Like they'll tell you it's like people don't really buy anything other than PLA. They like to buy the really obscure colors of PLA.
Yes, because it's
all
a hobby.
that.
You have.
But apparently, 3D printing's done wonders for like our local Micro Center. They're like it's doing a lot of revenue for us.
Of the hobbies that would be around of that type of a store, 3D printing is definitely the most up and coming, because like there's not a lot of like ham radio or old Radio Shack or even Arduino sort of work anymore. And 3D printing has more consumer reach than like Arduino did and that kind of stuff that would show up at a Micro Center. So that's not surprising to me that it would become consumer focused enough that they think they could run with it.
I've always thought like if you needed like help with an electronics project, like just go sit on the floor in like that Arduino area of Micro Center for a while. And like just talk to anybody that comes through there, and like they're all like wizards.
They'll be able to help you. That's true. Here's the thing. Like I have never been to a Micro Center because it's all East Coast to like Midwest or so. It hasn't reached us yet. What is like the age demographic of a Micro Center?
It's
you're in
everything.
There.
It's everything. It's the age demographic is all over the map.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I would have thought
little kids and it's retired guys.
Oh, interesting. That is interesting. Because I wouldn't have guessed that.
The demographic is definitely gamers.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair.
But yeah, I think we actually have the original one in Atlanta. I want to say.
Oh, really? That might be true.
Let me search that real quick because I don't want to say that. I feel like
you can claim it. It's the internet. You can say whatever you want. I remembered maybe this was a thing, and now that becomes the truth.
Yeah, the Micro Center in Marietta, Georgia, is the longest standing Micro Center. So we got the OG one.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
It's a shithole, honestly.
Oh, you
like
want to fact check yourself, but then you drop that right there in the middle of it all.
It's like
not the first.
It's so dim in there. The lights like
worst.
barely work. I don't think they've changed the carpet since 1988.
Oh goodness. Well, somebody had to rise and replace the Radio Shacks.
I've heard the one in like Miami is like their 3D printing section is like awesome, supposedly. Right. Ours is terrible.
That I'm excited to see that, like the 3D printed retail stores that like actually do retail correctly. That's going to be interesting over the next 5 or 10 years once people kind of figure it out, because that could almost work. The way everybody's doing it right now is selling fidget dragons and have a printer running in the back. That's not right. But like if somebody really who understands retail very deeply wanted to run with 3D printing, there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do.
I think Micro Center must have like an engineer in charge of marketing, because their like placement is terrible.
Oh, really? Not
the 3D printer. Like the 3D printer should be in the front and center because they're the only thing moving in the whole store.
Yes.
Like so everybody just sit there and awe over it, but no, they're like in the back right corner, and then they have all their 3D printers like printing things, which is cool.
Okay.
But some of the 3D printers are in severe need of maintenance, which is not like a good look for the printer, but it's like falling apart, barely working on the shelf. Some of them are like mid-maintenance, like torn apart on the shelf, just sitting there like wires hanging out.
Yeah.
And then the real pet peeve is like everybody that goes to Micro Center, they want to get all the little fancy colors of PLA.
Uh-huh.
And they're printing like all sorts of rainbow, this, that, and the other, but there's no designation of which material is being printed.
Oh.
And on top of that, they have all sorts of things they've printed all over the place, and there's no designation on any of the things they've printed as to which material it is.
Yeah. To be fair, it's probably just because it's the local employees who get to use the machine or whatever else it was, so nobody's thinking those thoughts. But you're absolutely right. It takes so little effort to just have an edict from on high say, put a tag on each one of these parts so people can find it. Or at least set the demo part on top of the shelf where that color is and that kind of thing. There's so much low-hanging fruit on that. That is hilarious. But that's true of like every retail store.
It
really.
Is.
When you really look at them, you're just like, there's so much more that they could do. The store that I always love the most is like Costco, because I just love the fact that there's hot dogs in the front of the place where I'm going and getting other stuff. Like that's so easy to do. Every store could have a popcorn machine or a hot dog stand or whatever else it was just nearby to help them out. And I'm like, that's easy, low-hanging fruit. And nobody does it. But I love going to Costco just because they make those moves, and I also see them like move that stuff around, and I'm like, you guys move that stuff over closer to that so that I do this now. And I'm like, well done, but I know what you're doing, and I appreciate it, but I see what you're doing.
Micro Center is really weird. Like, I don't know. It'd be an experience if you're ever near one.
I'll try to do that.
And their workers are like, they get commission.
Oh.
So they'll like slap their like little barcode on stuff, and you get like sniped sometimes. Because like we'll be in there getting like 40, 50 rolls of filament, which is nothing to you, but to a Micro Center employee, that's a lot of filament. That's the most filament they've seen anybody buy in a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
And like we'll go to checkout and we're like, where did all these? Oh, they're like, Ashley helped you, and I'm like, I didn't talk to anybody while I was there.
I was going by.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's a good way of doing it. Well, although I would think that the merchandising would be better in that regard, because they should all be thinking of ways of speeding this stuff up. Oh, that's hilarious.
Anyway.